Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. It's Barbara Roos, and I'm the manager of workshops and webinars for NADA University. I attended NADA's convention in Las Vegas last month, and I had the chance to meet you there. Today, I'd like to welcome you to our second March Market Insight webinar, Increasing Accessory Revenue $500 per Sale. This webinar is graciously sponsored by GizmoCars.com. We have 90 minutes for the webinar. The first minutes or so, you'll be taken through the presenter's prepared PowerPoint slides. The next minutes or so, you will be given a demonstration of the Gizmo Cars accessory sales website, which I tell you, going through it, it's really cool, and I know you're going to enjoy it. We handle questions a little differently today than we do in most of our webinars. If you have any questions about the slides or demo in that panel, please click on the name Ken Luna, who also works for Gizmo Cars. Send a question privately to him and answer it privately back to you. If the question is of a more general nature, type it in the Q&A panel at the bottom right-hand side of your screen at any time during the presentation. I will pose it to our speaker at the end of the presentation. Please enter these questions into the chat panel. So to decide if you want a question answered during the presentation, go to the chat panel, send to Ken Luna, and type your question in there. If you want to hold it till the end, where I'll pose it live to Sydney, then into the Q&A panel, which is at the bottom right-hand side of your screen. Okay, so let's get going. I'm pleased to now introduce today's presenter, Sydney Hayter, President of the Add-on Auto Division at GizmoCars.com. He is an automotive management professional with 17 years of experience in retail automotive internet sales, marketing, telemarketing, and business development. Before Gizmo Cars, he is the GSM of Keys Honda, e-commerce director of Galpin Motors, the CEO of H Entertainment, and then of SoftNet Venture Capital. It's like we have 26 participants so far. Why don't you get us started?
Thank you, Barbara. Everyone for attending today's webinar. Today we'll be talking about setting up the accessory business and going through your planning stage so that you are avoiding the common mistakes made in the industry to make a successful accessory business, and also to look for best practices from dealerships who have done a fantastic job. We've basically evolved an accessory business for the last 3.5 years, and there are hundreds and hundreds of dealerships who have actually been very successful in accessory business, where they're generating over $500 a copy in accessory revenue. Now, it is important to note that when you are setting up your accessory business, you first identify touch points from where, what, and how you are going to involve accessories. The first thing is to understand that where accessories are best suited for and how. So, for instance, when we are looking at the showroom floor, which is where your sales are for new car vehicles or used car vehicles, that is where you use accessories for your maximum ROI. It's the highest revenue generation point, and you will be able to get the most revenue out of accessory business at that level. That does not necessarily mean that accessories can only or should only be used at that area. There's the second point area to concentrate on is service customers. And while you do not have the high ticket volume sales in service, what service lacks in the dollar amount of per item sale, what service makes it up in volume. Usually, most service customers' drives are at least 5 to 10 times the volume of the showroom traffic. So what you do is in the service area, you want to implement a program that actually is going to work for all your customers that will be waiting in your service lounge. So make up in volume over there if you implement a good process of accessory presentation. Third is your online area. Online accessory sales is necessarily for most dealerships to generate revenue. It is a good place to be as far as wholesale is concerned, but mainly from a retail perspective, as a dealership, we will not be able to compete with the online marketplace that is out there selling extremely low profit margin accessories. So what you want to do in online is utilize accessories for a marketing purpose. It is excellent resource for creating customer loyalty. It is a great resource for having a customers enjoy a visit to your website and stay longer on your site, and that increases your conversion ratio for your leads as well. So we'll talk about that during the portion of this presentation. The next thing you want to do is understand that there is going to be a culture change in your store. So before you implement that culture change, you need to identify a few things. What you want to figure out is who will present to the customers. And this is the showroom floor and the service lounge. So it may not be the same people. So we'll need to identify the role players first. So we'll present accessories is what you need to first point out, because this will determine whether you are heading in the right direction or not. Sometimes you can use dedicated reps to present accessories. Sometimes salespeople present accessories on the showroom floor. Similarly, in the service, parts counter people can present accessories. There can be a customer related person in service that could present accessories, and there actually also can be a dedicated person depending on the volume of ticket ROs and customers waiting in your lounge. Second question you want to ask yourself is, how will they present accessories? This is very important because what are the tools they're going to use to present are going to be important in determining who will present and what the process will be. So you need to determine that. Third, how will you pay them? So if you're asking your staff to present accessories, they're going to look to make money or some kind of remuneration if they are doing that job. Just by saying that, no, well, this is part of the job is not going to work. So ideally, you want to come up with spiff and commission programs that are going to be right. We're going to discuss some of that later on. Fourth, you want to basically look at how will you account for accessory sales and cost. This is very important because if you do have proper accounting procedures set up, this can frustrate the business office, which ultimately will be the different moment of how long your accessory business lasts in your store. So you account for accessory sales and how will the cost and profit margin be determined. You need to make sure that you've got tools to accomplish that. Who will follow up after the purchase is next. So what I do is, for instance, when somebody buys accessories, who to call the customer and follow up on that order. So there has been some bad practices and there are some best practices. Let me first talk about what you don't want to do. If you really want to have your accessory business successful and you want to increase the closing ratios and sell a lot of accessories, the salespeople coordinating appointments is the last thing you want to do, because if you increase percentage of closing of accessories with customers, most salespeople will be spending a lot of time just chasing around the orders, which will frustrate them because they're more interested in selling new cars or used cars, which is what you want them to do anyways. So following up on purchase, who is the person that's going to do that? Selection of that person is very important. Next, managing OEM parts catalog. How much that? OEM parts are changing regularly. Actually, the whole accessory industry is a constantly changing industry. So you need to make sure that you've got a good system that will allow you to easily manage your part catalog where the cost and MSRP updates are in line, and also new parts when they show up are going to be there to present to the customer. So you're not using outdated catalogs. Secondly, managing your aftermarket parts catalog becomes important for those dealerships who are into aftermarket sales. And there are definitely accessories like lots of dealerships say that, well, we don't do aftermarket accessories, but you're still doing some. So if you've got window tint or leather or anything else for that matter that you're selling in your dealership, you need to have tools that are going to help you make those catalogs. Otherwise, you are going to have a difficult time implementing a good accessory process in your dealership. Now, aftermarket parts catalog cannot be separated from OEM catalog if you are planning to sell them. So everything should be in one place. Otherwise, if it's too many books, too many different places that a salesperson has to go to present, you're going to have a problem getting that process implemented. Then talk about order handling process. Once the sale is made, how is the order going to take place and be handled? Who's going to check on parts? How will they? Who's going to be calling the customer? And who is calling the customer? Are they in communication properly with the parts department or with the aftermarket suppliers to make sure that the parts are available, so they're not setting up appointments with customers when on parts that are not in stock to be installed at the time? So I want to make sure that there is a solid order handling process and a good knowledgeable person is talking to the customer, because one of the challenges with accessories is CSI. That order is not handled properly, it affects the CSI of the store, which ultimately will kill the accessory business in your store as well. Using accessories into marketing. The last thing we want to talk about, who will do that? Because you do have accessories that you can use in creating very strong marketing campaigns, very engaging marketing campaigns, much more engaging than most other things you can do, especially when there's a new car customer who just purchased a new car, and you are trying to keep that customer engaged so that customer becomes loyal to your dealership, and you've basically created a more loyal, better customer loyalty program. Well, in today's market, best thing that most dealerships can offer is an oil change coupon. Or they buy a new car. Well, the oil change is not due most of the time until 5,000 miles. That could be 4 or 5 months out. So a lot can happen between the time the customer drops out in a new car and 4 months. So something you can, what is it that you can do today to engage that customer, keep them engaged throughout that process until they come in for their first oil change. These happen to be the best scenario, because even according to Specialty Equipment Marketing Association, the majority of the customers who buy accessories come in the first 90 days of buying a car. So you want to keep accessory conversation engaged with those customers. That creates a better loyalty program for you, for your customers who buy the vehicle. So once you have identified these role players who are going to be helping you develop this culture change, the next thing to see is that how are you going to establish all of this that is going to basically make sure that you have a strong and strengthened process. All about process. And in accessories, you have a process of making sure that everybody in your dealership is presented accessories, then you will sell them. Accessories, the main reason why accessories don't sell is because they're not presented. It's not because they're bad, they're wrong, they're expensive, they're cheap. It's not that. It's just that they're never presented. They're hidden. And so you need to bring them out, and the only way to bring it out is either to use or put in like millions of dollars of investment in creating a big accessory showroom so that people get eyeballs on it, or create simple, cost-effective concepts that present accessories to customers through your employees, whether it's salespeople, dedicated reps, service people, customer relations people, or parts counter people. Everybody needs to get into the habit of wanting to present accessories to the customer. So you need to identify the role players, which is people. You need to identify the presentation stuff, how you're going to present, and we're going to talk about this more. You need to decide how you're going to pay them so that you can motivate them to get on this new process and bring accessories to your customers. You will need to make sure that you define a good profit distribution strategy between departments, especially if you want the sales department to get motivated to want to sell accessories. They need to have participation in it, and similarly, fixed ops should be decently compensated so that they feel good about the whole process and want to support it well. Pricing is very important. That pricing is in line, and your people that they feel confident in presenting those prices. A lot of times, we have seen dealerships who they have basically thought that if they price them really high, that's okay because let's leave some room for negotiations. Accessories are not to be negotiated most of the time. It's not a good concept to do that unless it's part of the car deal and the customer brought it up or the accessory is already on the vehicle pre-installed. But most time, if it's being presented, it should be like a supermarket or Walmart. You don't negotiate when you go to Walmart or you go to a supermarket. You just pick up the items and you pay for them and you buy them. That's exactly how accessories should be approached. So your pricing strategy has to be right. It shouldn't be too cheap because you're not going to make enough money and you won't have enough money to pay your staff. And it shouldn't be too expensive either. So it should be in line, and we'll talk about the pricing strategy as to what it should be for OEM and what it should be for aftermarket. Then we come to product mix. A good product mix is also important. So if you don't have a decent product mix, you will not engage your customers properly. So all these things literally affect what is the process in your store. You'll realize that if you don't have a good catalog, your people will not be motivated to do what you're asking them to do, which is your process. If you don't have the right rotation equipment, your process will be broken. If you have bad plans, it's going to affect the process. Profit distribution, pricing, everything affects the process. So your goal should be how I make sure that a process is implemented in my store. So we'll talk about that. But before we talk about anything, let's talk about process. So the first thing you want to do is create a framework for your process. And in the framework, the first thing you want to do is identify all the role players. As we mentioned in the previous slide, where you need to determine who's going to present and all that. So you need to first identify all the role players. That first step of your framework when designing a process. What you want to do is you want to basically go ahead and follow the steps of the transaction. Take from presentation of accessories between the person and the customer, what happens next, and that happens to that, and that happens after that. You need to write down all the steps of that process. Then, when you do that, you will create a process of sales. That sales will end up into an order. So you need to move that flow from sales to order. You need to create a process of how the sales happening in the showroom floor will be communicated to the fixed ops. There has to be a good process for that. Finally, creating an order handling process. So you need to make sure that your order handling process, who is going to call the customer, who is going to check for parts, how are they going to communicate with each other, and then if they need to communicate with anybody like sales department or suppliers, how will they do that? Lay out all those processes, because if you are selling 10% or 15% of your customers' accessories today, and you want to take that closing ratio to 50 or 70%, which is what dealers do, then that means that you will have a lot more volume to handle. If order handling process is not efficient, it's going to make your customer's experience not good, and it's going to fall apart the whole business of accessories in your store. So very important that you create that order handling process so that you have a efficient process of handling it with the customer. Finally, practice all the processes and do practice runs. Very important, because a lot of times we think certain things and we miss things until practice run it. When you practice run it, you realize any roadblocks that come in during that practice run. Because if you're making an assumption for a certain role player and you haven't involved that role player in the process and practice run, you not get the right feedback. So don't make assumptions. Make sure you run your process and practice it to find any roadblocks. Okay, so once your framework of your process is in place, the first thing we talked about in the process is identifying the role players on the sales side and on the order side. So the role players are your people that are involved in that process. The first thing you want to look at is who are the presenters. and who be presenting. You need to find that. Who approve the transaction if a customer wants to buy something, especially sales department. When somebody looking to buy something, of course, a sales manager or a finance manager will have to approve it. So you need to identify who is actually approving it. Then, from the approval of the sale and the election of the money confirmation, you then need to figure out, okay, so now that the sale is made, who will set the appointments, the customers, to get those accessories installed. Now, there are lots of people who think that accessories should be installed prior to delivery. While some states where you don't deliver cars on the same day, that may be possible. In majority of states, it's not a recommended strategy, because if somebody is looking to add a spoiler or leather or window tint, more than likely you cannot do that prior to delivery. So you will be setting up appointments. So to make sure that your appointment setting process, who are going to set up that appointment, you have identified those role players. Or handling, that who is going to handle the parts and the suppliers, the aftermarket coordination. You need to identify that. It could be the same person, but you need to identify those role players. Then you need to find out who will help you take accessories and use it for online marketing purposes. Who will handle your accessories on your website? And then likely it probably will be your website manager or your internet manager, but you need to make sure that they're on board as well, because they have to understand that accessories is another product line that you are going to be selling from your store. Just like you sell cars, just like you sell service appointments, just like you sell parts, accessories are going to be something that you want to sell as well. It's a billion-dollar industry, so we need to get our fair share. Unfortunately, dealers represent less than 6% of market, while over 3/4 of the customers buy accessories in the first 90 days of buying a car. So we are definitely losing out a big revenue stream for our dealers with our dealerships by not getting involved properly in accessory business. Finally, the supervisors. Who is going to supervise the business for you? Someone has to champion it. Has to make sure that accessories is running right. If there's a challenge somewhere, that person is going to get proactively involved and ensure it gets fixed. In dealership, we have desk managers and sales managers managing teams for selling cars. In every dealership, we have finance managers or finance directors overseeing the finance department. We have people overseeing parts department. We have managers overseeing service. You need a person who's going to oversee accessories. Now, the good news is that most of the time you don't need to hire somebody just to do that. It can be a role taken on with the proper tools by somebody already in your store, because it doesn't require a full-time effort. It does require about, I would say, somewhere around 5-6 hours a week worth of work. So somebody can be dedicated position with an incentive to make sure that they take on the responsibility and the challenge to get the accessory business properly working in your store. Very, very important that you are assigning somebody to do that. Presentations. As we talked about in the process chart, we were showing you the chart of process maps, and in the process chart, you were seeing that how there are people, presentation, pay plans, profit distribution, pricing, and product mix, or as we call it in Ismo Cars, the 7 P's of success. We're going to be discussing those 7 P's, so that's where we're naturally leading to. So the first thing we did is discuss people, presentations, and now we're discussing the presentation equipment. So how you're going to present matters very important, because that's going to determine your price, and that will determine the success of your accessory business in your dealership. So first, you need to determine what is the style of your presentation. Will you be using catalogs to present? Will you be using price sheets to present? Or will you be using digital computer technology to present? Everything has an advantage and a disadvantage. Ideally, of course, because where technology is going, our recommended strategy will be to go to computers, because there are tools out there now that are very engaging and that help you sell more product. But you can sell accessories using price sheets as well. The with price sheets is that if you want to implement it with all your salespeople, there is a a concern that you will run into questions such as there's no emotional engagement in a price sheet. The customer sees is pricing, which naturally tends the customer to lead towards negotiating. They will want to negotiate because there's nothing emotional in presentation of accessories using a price sheet. They're not seeing pictures. They don't know what the product actually is, what does it do, and all they're seeing is item names and pricing. So in that case, natural tendency of a customer is to say, well, can I pay this much only? Or how about if you throw it in? Those kind of things come up, and those actually do affect your accessory business in the long run. So not the best way to present accessories, but can be done if somebody really good is presenting those things. Unfortunately, the really good salespeople are only 20% in the dealership. So you need to have a process that's going to work 100% of the time with the rest of the staff as well. Then catalogs. Catalogs are a good way to present accessories because they will have pictures, they will have descriptions, and they will be engaging than price sheets. And the challenge with catalogs is keeping them up to date because it requires you to have pictures in there, and there's some desktop publishing that has to be done to make sure they look nice, and then all inserts have to be replaced on a regular basis as parts change, pricing change, and new vehicle models come out. So maintaining that catalog becomes a extensive work for somebody to keep intact. And the harder challenge comes in when you're also selling aftermarket. A lot of times your aftermarket catalogs are outdated, your suppliers are not giving you updated information, and offering or selling products that are no longer in the market, or the pricing's changed and you're getting chargebacks. So that's not the best way to do it, but it can be done. It's better than price sheets. The ultimate solution is digital solutions that help you just update those catalogs for you automatically. So all you're focusing on is mainly just maintaining it quickly, pricing your parts, and focusing mainly on your selling processes and taking care of the rest of the business instead of just trying to invest too much time in just maintaining your catalog. So about once you've determined that, what you need to do next. So once you've determined the style of presentation, that is pay plans. And pay plans are more like spiffs. A best pay plan is the pay plan that motivates the behavior that you're looking for from your employee. So you want to basically find out if your salesperson sold $1,000 worth of accessories to a customer, about retail value. Ask salespeople how much commission do they expect to be paid from that sale. And the answer will be somewhere between $75 to $100, with to about 7 to 10% commission on the total sale of the parts. It's important that your commission is around that, and you make sure that you pay the salespeople separately on accessories than your car deal. It's very important because if you're paying it together with the car deal, 90% of the time, car deals that are made in 1 month get paid the next month. By the time they're paid, the salesperson will forget what they did at that time to earn that commission. They'll look at it as a car sale commission, and so the overall importance of accessory presentation will not remain, and you not have a sustained success through time. So you may have a good start, but you want to stay good and keep improving it through time, not your graph going up and then 3 months later coming back right down again. Same thing you need to do is about how would you want to motivate your parts counter people to want to use the system to present accessories to your customers. You want to talk about how you want to spiff them so that they get motivated and get involved in it. What spiffing we do to your service advisors to make sure they are lining up the customers properly and prepping them right so that the presentation of accessories happen to those customers and those customers will end up buying more product. So those are the things you need to think about and make sure that you've got a right pay plan in place. Next, profit distribution. So can be a sore subject, but it is a subject very important to make sure that the whole dealership, if there is going to be culture change, in the trip, it is important that everybody comes in with their expectation of what they will make in accessory sales. Accessory sales should be considered different from part sales. Unfortunately, in a lot of dealerships, accessory sales are looked the same way as part sales. Equipment parts or part sales are very different than accessories. So you need to determine how your accessory sale. First of all, you should have a line of accessories in your financial statement separate from parts so that you can determine how much you did in accessories altogether in the dealership. It is a highly profitable business, but if we don't have the right profit distribution strategy, it can really affect your business. So if your department sold $10,000 in accessories, the profit margin would want to make from that $10,000 retail accessories. And amazingly, when you ask that question from parts service manager and a DSM, the answer you will get is a 30% each. When it's all up, it comes out to 90% of 10,000. Your cost is not going to be 10%, and you have 90% profit in the part. So everybody will have to get adjusted down and make sure that ultimately, at the end of the day, if the dealership is selling accessories with an average profit margin of around 50%, and then after you pay your commissions and everything, you should net somewhere around, as a dealership should net about 32 to 35% in a business. So that profit margin is going to be distributed amongst departments properly, that there is motivation from sales managers to want to get involved. There is motivation from parts to make sure that they continue to support it, and the motivation from service to want to make sure that they're handling the customers properly and the order handling is done right. Product mix. A very important thing. You don't want to be the 7-Eleven of accessories. You want a supermarket of accessories. It is very important that retail business, your catalog is representative of what your customer expects. If it falls short of your customer's expectation, you will not engage them and you will not be able to sell them well. So when you go into a 7-Eleven, buy a bottle of milk, you don't think about shipping at 7-Eleven because there's not much for 7-Eleven to offer. And they do that. They actually promote convenience. They don't promote that you're going to come in and spend 20 minutes walking around the aisles there on site. In supermarkets, or Walmart, they are excellent at upselling because they have a great product mix. And when you go and buy a bottle of milk in a supermarket, you'll end up buying a lot more products than you walked in for and come out with more products than you walked in thinking that you will buy. That's exactly the process you should have when it comes to accessories. Your customer's expectation is that if you are going to present me things about my car, show me enough first. There is certain appetite that has to be fulfilled before the customer starts to think about buying something. So you have to have a catalog that's going to at least keep the customer engaged for about 8 to 10 minutes. It's 3 to 5 minutes for the brain to just process the fact that are you even thinking of wanting to buy something or not. And the decision of buying something starts to come after 5 minutes. So if I have enough products that's going to last the presentation beyond 3 or 5 minutes, you've already killed sale before you've even begun. So very important that your catalog has the right product mix to make sure that you have an engaging presentation. Finally, step bars, navigation systems, if you're selling them, or for that matter, here's an example. If you're not selling those products, you'll be surprised if you did a quick little focus test in your showroom floor with some of your salespeople. Ask 3 people in your dealership, if you're buying a step bar for your truck, this chrome step bar, how much would you want to pay for it? You will get some answers. If your pricing is beyond the average of those 3 or 4 answers from your staff, then I assure you that your staff is not showing that product to your customer because they think it's already too expensive. They are telling your staff to go down the street and buy it from Joe's truck shop. That's basically where the accessory business is lost. So you want to make sure that your pricing is in line And if your pricing is in line and your staff is out of line, you need to address that in meetings. You bring it up and show and sell the value to your staff before it can be sold to your customer. Your staff has to buy into your pricing before your customers buy into your pricing. So important that your pricing is correct. Don't price it too high. Don't price too low. OEMs, the best practice is that if you're closer to the MSRP range, then you're going to be fine. With aftermarkets, if you're doing 40% or 45% over your cost, then you'll be okay. Everything higher than that is too high. Everything too low is not going to let you make enough money. So you want to make sure that your pricing is in line with the market so that you can sell those items. It is okay to be a little higher than the shop down the street because your customer will expect that and you're providing additional service anyways. But too high is going to turn your own staff off and they will not present it to the customer. So at this stage, what I'd like to do is move on to our presentation of the program, and so that we show you what we have done with dealerships and how we have accomplished these 7 Ps and how you can actually implement the business in your dealership to get to the $500 or higher in accessory sales. There are dealerships that are doing close to $1,000 a copy also. So we will basically go into that presentation now. Salesperson in your dealership, what I'll be doing is using this digital tool to present accessories. Now keep in mind everything that I talked about so far, and I'll be pointing out those things as I go through the demonstration of the product as well. The thing is marketing to your staff as well. So in this kind of solution, what you see here as a banner allows you to advertise specials to your staff, to give them some tips as to where you want them to go and what do you want them to promote. For instance, if I'm a parts manager, I would put some messages on this banner here, say, stars are on sale, or navigation system is on sale, or whatever the case is. Make sure you show those to your customer because this is a salesperson facing screen right now. So I go ahead and select my vehicle that I'm selling. For instance, in this case, I am selling a 2011 truck. So go ahead and select the Silverado and basically pick a trim. I'll select my color and my year. And what the advantage with programs, digital programs, is that you can customize the presentation for every individual customer. You cannot do in a catalog or in on a price sheet. If a customer is financing, you can give them a payment presentation. If they're leasing, you can give them a payment presentation. If they're cash, you can give them a cash presentation instead. And even with tools like this, you can even put finance caps. So if you're going to give somebody a payment presentation and you don't want them to finance beyond a certain limit, you can actually limit them, and that still allows them to purchase accessories and put it in their contract. And if they don't have a way to finance, you can actually cap it at 0 or just give them a cash presentation. So I'm going to click on payment presentation here. The salesperson to show customer the vehicle they're buying. And the idea of accessory selling should not be that you're trying to sell accessories. It's more about presenting accessories. I mentioned earlier, most people, when surveys customers quarter after quarter, and surveys have been going on for decades, one of the things that a lot of customers are back to asked by SEMA, where would you have preferred to buy the accessory? The answer is dealerships. And when asked why didn't you, the common answer is never presented. So accessories don't get you miss on accessories not because Your salespeople are trying to sell them, but just because they're not presented. So we're trying to keep the same concept. We're trying to tell dealerships that don't try to sell accessories. Just find a way to present it. And if you use the right tools, the tools will help you sell it. It's a menu-based system. It will help you sell the product. Now, in this case, of course, I'm using a test account, so you will see a lot of products. Again, you can customize the catalog, make sure your catalog is manageable, that there's not too many choices, but not too few. More is good, less than more, and more 8 is not good. So somewhere between 2 and 10 products is what you want to carry in a certain product line. So if you're offering grill guards, 4 or 5 items is more than enough. 20 guard options, too many choices, confuses the customer. So in this case, for instance, if I'm showing a grill guard to a customer, I can click on the grill guard and the image and show a little bit bigger description, tell the customer how much it's going to be per month, and click on adding the product, it flies it on the vehicle. So if I want to switch it to a different one, I can click on a different one, and it removes the other one and adds the bull bar instead on the vehicle as well. I can click on exterior and do everything from bed liners to body side moldings to exhaust systems, grills, hoods, everything. So you can actually have just what we call it a point click and a decision from a customer. So you will notice that in systems like this, the genuine products are there, also mixed in with aftermarket if you're carrying aftermarket. Of course, genuine products will show up first. So when I click on the grill from Chevy, I can click on the image to show them a larger thumbnail, and just click on the add button, and the grills fly onto the truck. I can do different kind of products to get the customer's attention. So that way I can have a visually engaging presentation. If I want to add the hood on the car, it flies a different hood on the vehicle. Will the customer buy all these products? Probably not. But it engages the customer in a presentation, which is what I'm looking for, so I can get them engaged and their mind to start thinking about accessories. Maybe I'll end up just buying a set of floor mats or a liner. But what I'm trying to do is engage them in a presentation. So the most important thing in accessories is engaging presentation. How can you engage the customer? So if I click on step bars, I see step bars from General Motors in here. Now, if you have a lot of products offered from OEM in a certain category, we recommend that you shouldn't carry a lot of aftermarket with it either. Like I said, 2 to 8 is a good product mix. There's already 5 or 6 step bars offered from General Motors. There's no reason to carry aftermarket because it's going to confuse the salesperson, it's going to confuse the customer. So if I click on adding a step bar, it will basically fly the step bar on the truck and show how it looks. And there's a message that comes up where it says you've exceeded your maximum allowable amount financed by this much amount. Please add it or remove products. So this basically removes the pressure from salespeople, managers who are concerned about a possibility of maybe the transaction will go overboard and it will hurt my car deal. I can do everything in this kind of solution, all down to even a window tint. So if you're offering window tint options, you can do that and you can tint the windows. So I can click on window tint and basically select the tint that I'm looking to show the customer, and it will basically give me an option to select the opacity level, and when I click add, it tints the windows of the truck. So everything from that all the way to tonneau covers, pickup bed shells, wheels, even including interiors. So if I click on wheels, I can select by manufacturer to show me the wheels that are offered, or I select the size or finish and give the customer some different options to look at as far as the wheel and tire packages are concerned. And you can price them your way. You can basically set up however you want to show the customer. If the salesperson wants to sort them by low price to high price, I can sort it that way, and cheapest wheel set first. And in this case, if I click on this, it'll add these wheels, and it will basically show me different options, related products. Would I like to add a center cap? Would I like to add tire pressure mount, or locks, and nut packages and things like that that can be promoted as related products as well. So if I click on those, it will add the wheels on the truck. So in this case, basically you can go ahead uh, and continue showing the products to the customer, and I can go from one product to another just like that, and basically switch the wheels for me. And I can click the rear of the truck or the front view of the truck to show them both the views, so that visually I get them engaged as well. Certainly when I go to the interior products, I've got the ability to do everything from audio equipment, navigation, floor mats, video, upholstery, dash kits. So if I want to show somebody a dash kit, whether it's an aluminum dash kit or a different one, I can click on the different dash kits and show that to the customer as well. So for example, if I want to show them a wood trim, I click on that, and it shows the customer exactly where the trim goes. This is important because it not only engages the customer, but also good for CSI, because if you add a wood trim package and the customer didn't see exactly where it needs to go, and then later on there is a concern from their end that, well, this doesn't look good, in case they're able to see everything and make an intelligent decision. Everything from video to navigation is available in the system as well. So whether you're selling an over-the-dash navigation or you're selling in-dash navigation systems or upholstery. And the other thing about these systems is that they work excellent as electric babysitters. So for instance, if you're just trying to sell something and you want to keep the customer engaged, you can actually add product videos. For instance, if I go click here, I literally play a product video on the screen, and that will give me a video of the product that I'm selling. I can actually make it full screen so that I can see the whole product video and give a video presentation to my customer as well. If you have it on your website, it gives you a lot of content, video content on your website to keep your customer engaged for a longer period of time, making your website a lot stronger and increasing conversion ratios as well. In addition to that, in your showroom floor or everything else, it helps you sell a lot of product as well. So we have dealerships that are using paint protection product videos and equipment product videos as well. The other thing where product videos really help is in delivery. A big challenge with accessories when it comes to especially aftermarket is if you install a navigation unit or DVD player. Since an aftermarket item, and if it's sublet and your installer is installing it, the customer never gets a good demonstration of the product as to how to operate it. And that leaves a sour taste in the customer's mouth, which is not good for the dealership. So if you have product videos loaded in here, your salesperson or your service person can actually give a nice demonstration of the product by just clicking on it and let the customer learn about how to operate that product after it's installed by your sublet provider. Then we have everything from remote starts, backup cameras. You can create your own dealer packages. Now this is a sales system which you can use to sell anything. It's not accessories, but whatever you want to sell, you can add products and offer it to your customers through the system. Products in the system already are offered from ISMO cars, have design already available so that you can actually show it on the vehicle, on the customer's car. If you're using a small screen and you want to enlarge the image of the vehicle, you can click on the plus sign and you show the full screen image of the vehicle with all the accessories added to the car for the customer. Once these accessories are presented, of course, you can change in this screen. One of the things I didn't mention is you can change the background image. You can load your own dealership showroom shot, make it more real. You put your dealership logo up on top. You can even change the color scheme of the page. And when you click on shopping cart, the customer can you can review the parts in the shopping cart with the customer. You give the option to the customer to buy it with installation or without installation. By the mouse over click and unchecking the box, it will take the part into purchasing the part without installation. You can make those changes between sales and fixed ops, where you can say, well, in sales I don't want to show that option, but in fixed ops I like to show the option of bought with or without installation as well. Similarly, of course, on your website. You can hide the pricing on your website if you don't want to show pricing on your website, if you're concerned about being shopped by a customer. So you can still provide the configuring ability and give your customer the ability to play with their vehicle, save it, and make it their garage as well. Advantage with using tools like this is it has a lot of process built into it. So for instance, if I am a salesperson and I basically presented accessories using this product, then I will click on the Done button at the end of my presentation, and at this point, I will enter a stock number of the vehicle that I'm selling. I'll type in my name, who's presented the accessories. I can collect the customer information if I want to. You can make it optional as well if you don't want the customer information. The advantage is that if you do collect it up here, not only it will carry it in the system for you so that you can use the same system for follow-up with the customer, it will also send an update to your CRM that it will match the customer data in your CRM, so your CRM will know that you present accessories and this is what the customer purchased. So it will update the CRM with the ticket from accessories as well. The salesperson can type a note in here, say that the salesperson says that the customer wants to discuss leather options. And I can actually, at the end of every presentation, either the customer will decide to buy something, in which case I will click Buy Now, or the customer will decide that they think about it. In that case, I will click on Maybe Later, or the customer will say, well, you know what, everything was great, but not interested in anything. And that's how I will click No Thank You. And you can set up campaigns in the system which sends an email to the customer immediately after the action taken here. So when the customer goes home, there'll be an email in their inbox with a link to this vehicle based on the coupon or any other offer you want to give them based on the button the salesperson clicked. So if I clicked on Buy Now, you want to give me $100 off for my next $500 purchase, you get that. If they can Maybe Later, and you want to give those customers 10% off if they bought those accessories, and if I said no thank you, you want to give me something else, you can do that. And you can run 3 different campaigns for 3 different customers based on what happened here. And there will be a link for the customer to click on where they will actually see their vehicle on their computer where they can shop. That will actually lead them back to your website. So it actually not only helps you present accessories in your dealership, but also ties the customer back to your website once they go home, because that happens to be your virtual showroom. So you want to make sure that you've got some kind of tie-in to your website once the customer leaves your showroom. Now, after you print the confirmation of the receipt, which will of course have your dealership logo, the reference number, which is your stock number, customer information, vehicle information, you can even choose to collect salesperson commission in here. So it can provide instant gratification to the salesperson that I made $180 commission on this sale. Now, it will list the parts, it will put on it, it will have the notes from the salesperson, and you can put any disclaimers here. There are some default disclaimers, but you can change those disclaimers to make it your own. And of course, there will be an acceptance or decline of the accessories. So this receipt will print no matter what happened. If the customer decided to buy, or decided to think about it, or decided to decline everything. And the receipt will say accordingly those notes on there. So since I click now, it says products added. Now, as I mentioned in my earlier presentation, that this is just the presentation stage. Next stage is approving stage, because as presented doesn't necessarily mean those items are sold yet. So it still needs to approve them. So we have in our system dashboards that allow your members to receive a pop-up message on their desktop that says that this stock number has accessories sold. When they click on that stock number, it actually leads the managers straight into the deals, and I'll show you what that looks like. And so when you get the alert message and you will click on that number, the manager will be able to actually see exactly the whole action with the to their sales department. So this makes the job of the manager efficient in not only converting this information into the deal, but also making sure that they confirm everything is approved. So it's It's a one-click approve process. Within 30 seconds, a manager is done with this. Like if you really are doing a day without proper tools, and you're going to then let your manager run around, and they will have to pull up books to find cost, or they'll have to call into the parts or service department, or have to go online. And instead of doing all of that, with one click of a button, they have access to what is their cost, which is sales department cost, not dealership's cost. So they can add in. They can also change the order if the customer doesn't qualify for something, and they can get from here as well. Manager completes the transaction, which is meaning they authorize it. Now the sale portion is done. At this point, a message will come up on the fixed op people's computer, whoever is handling the order, and in service both. And they will notify that this particular stock number has accessories sold. When they click on that number, they will be able to drill down in the order and see the details of the order page. When you click on that dashboard pop-up, and right there from the reminder, it will allow you to do that. So when you click on the orders detail page, you'll be able to see everything. If you've collected the customer information will be there, how to contact them, the salesperson name will be there, the vehicle the customer is buying, any notes from the salesperson, and all the parts that the customer has purchased are listed right here in this order. And as a parts manager, if I'm not familiar with something, I can just click on it. So for example, if I don't know what this particular part is as guards, I just click on it and it shows me exactly what the customer saw at the time of buying that part, and it will the SKU number and everything. It has your labor hours, of course, that you have plugged into your catalog. It will have the cost to the sales department, retail, and not only you will be able to add more notes to this, you will also, if you have any sublet third-party suppliers, you'll be set them up in this system, and you can order the parts right from here through your suppliers. So you'll be click on a button and say, I like to order this, and your supplier will receive an alert message on their computer that you have just ordered a job from them. And then they, of course, coordinate and communicate with you, and it makes everybody's job efficient and easier to do. Into that, of course, your suppliers will maintain your aftermarket parts catalog. Remember, we talked about in the slides earlier that you want to make sure that you can manage and maintain your aftermarket parts catalog. So if suppliers are set up in digital systems like this, then they actually maintain your catalog, and you will never offer outdated parts with wrong costs. So what this does is allows everything to be managed by everybody who needs to do their job right, and you focus on selling parts mainly and making sure that the process is working in your store. This is basically the process portion of the system that I wanted to show. Then, of course, we have reporting that allows you to basically see exactly how your dealership is performing. It has dashboard reports. It shows you everything from not only your presentation ratios, but your closing ratios, how your store is performing, parts, what kind of parts are selling, what kind of vehicles are selling the parts for, all that is going to be listed in the system. It even tracks process breaks. So if you have process breaks, it will show you where those breaks are. Is the salesperson using it right? If they're using it right, then are the managers properly utilizing the tool or not? If the managers are not, then you know exactly where the break is, and you can focus on fixing that area. If the fixed ops is using it right or not, you can know that, and you can fix that area. Customers being followed up upon after they said, let me think about it, you can manage all of that just from this dashboard alone, and it will tell you of what's going on regarding process in your store. Then, of course, as you drill down in sales performance, the system will not only show you exactly how your store is performing as far as your sales are concerned, it will also basically list your closing ratios. So this is you your top 5 salespeople, what are their closing ratios, how the store is performing salesperson by salesperson. You can even do it by revenue, show exactly how your revenue is in your store. You can see where your accessory sales are going month after month. Is the chart going up or down? You can actually see that how many people you presented, and for those that you presented, how many actually purchased accessories, what the closing ratio of your store store, how much time on average your salespeople are spending on the program presenting accessories. So it tracks the time that people present accessories, use the program to present accessories. That shows you which department is contributing to accessory sales. So how accessory sales came from sales department, how much of it came from parts department, how much it came from online, from websites, and other. Other means addendums, preload items. You can use this system to print cards and even print addendum stickers. It actually will tell you exactly how much accessories were promoted, that were sold, and how did you do in those accessories. How quickly did you sell them? What vehicles did you sell them for? It gives you all of those analysis as well. In addition to that, the performance area will show you exactly how your parts are performing in the store. So, for example, it will show you what are the top 5 categories that you're selling in your store for products. And of course, you can drill down and see more details by clicking on the summary. It will show you the top 5 vehicles that you are exercising in your store. It will show you the top 5 manufacturers whose products you are selling to the system. It will show you the top 5 SKUs you are selling so that you can stock them ahead of time if you're selling a lot of those. And all these dashboards, you can drill down and summary reports. So when you click the summaries, it shows you the details of all the categories instead of just the top 5. You can see every category and see how did you do in each one of those categories through that period of time. And you can run it by a month, you can run it by a quarter, or you can run it for the entire year to get a good synopsis of how your business is operating in your dealership. So you can do all of that. You can set up the templates. You can change the background images. You can set up your part catalog. You can price your parts. You can even set up labor costs by category. And the system is very easy to set up those things and maintain all those items so that way you can actually focus, again, like I said, mainly on parts and making sure that your process stays intact. So all of this is built into tools like this that you should consider when you're looking at establishing a good accessory business in your store. Then comes our third thing, which is producing accessories to market. When using accessories to market, you're basically talking about taking the accessories onto your website. Here, you're seeing a test website that has a browse accessories button on your home page. First of all, make sure that your accessories are prominently displayed somewhere on your home page so that any possibility of getting somebody engaged, you should have it on your home page. But said, customers, when they come on your website, are not coming on your website for accessories. Majority of your traffic, to the tune of 80% or higher even for that matter, is coming in to shop for a car. So majority of your customers come in and click on these buttons here, and they're looking for a vehicle. So click on your inventory. What you want to do is you want to use accessories to you want to use that traffic and direct that traffic to get more eyeballs on accessories. At the same time, providing more engaging concepts on inventory. The longer your customer stays on your inventory, the better chances you will have to convert them. So, in case, for example, if I'm searching for inventory, I will see an inventory like this, for example, on your website. Notice that there is a personalized this vehicle button. Use something like that on your cars, so that if I'm looking for a Camry and I click on personalize this vehicle, it literally with one click can open up the car. You can use a new window to open up, or you can frame it into your site. But the idea is that you're basically giving a user the ability to personalize this vehicle and play around with accessories. And then click on a vehicle quote right from here. So I wanted to add something. Let's say I wanted to add this into light kit. I click on add. It shows me what the light kit is going to look like, or the wood dash kit, or spoiler, wheels, and it's going to do all of those for me. And what I've basically done with my accessories that I want to add, I can basically click on a vehicle quote, and it will send a vehicle quote back to your sales department and will tell the sales department these are the items the customer wants to buy together with the vehicle. So you're giving more engaging presentation on your inventory. It enhances your inventory tool. But another cool thing, a lot of customers that come on your website may be ready to send you a lead. They'll just be there looking if you have the car or not. And they may not be ready right now to send a lead because they're not ready to buy a car yet. They finalize their decision yet to come into your showroom floor and engage with you. In that case, today, in your website, if a customer comes on your inventory and leave, you not even know how many people are actually jumping off from your inventory tool just because they're not interested in sending you a lead. So in order to increase your conversion ratio, you give them an option using tools like this to save the vehicle. If you save it, it creates a little garage for them, so they can say, you know what, I will save it. This way I can come back and look at this car again instead of going through the whole process every single time. You can save this car and then come back to it, and the customer will receive an email from on your behalf with the login information. So the next time they just use their login. Now they've built a garage in your site. So it creates loyalty. This creates customers, repetitious users to come back again because they've saved the car. They haven't sent you a lead, but interestingly enough, when they will save it, they put in their personal information, and you get notified that somebody saved the vehicle on your site. And then you can communicate with that customer, decide to communicate or not communicate, up to you. So all of those features you can do to enhance your inventory tool. In addition to that, you can also use links to put on your emails to make sure that you have better conversion ratio of your email. So if you're sending out email campaigns to your customers or any email that you're using to communicate with your customer, you should make a habit of putting in a button on all your emails so that it engages your customer back to your website. All emails should say, to personalize this car, click here. There should be a personalize your vehicle button on all your emails. And with solutions like this, you can do that. You can take and create a button from the admin section of this tool and present it and put it on all your emails. You send your emails, the button will actually take the year, make, model from your CRM, whatever CRM you're using. And the customer receives that email, the button will be there, and when they click on that button, they'll actually be directed straight to exactly the same thing I did here. They'll be looking on their vehicle with accessory catalog to play with. And this is a very confrontational way of selling, very soft way of selling, because you're letting the customer play with their car at the level of their time. And what you want to do is have the customer be able to add stuff to their vehicle and share it on Facebook and Twitter, so they can share it with their friends and family. People want to talk about vehicles. They don't talk about dealerships. They talk about cars. So you want to enter that conversation. One easy way to enter that conversation is through accessorizing. If you give them tools like this where they can add stuff on their vehicle and share it with their friends and family, your dealership logo is shared with that image as well. So you're marketing yourself through Facebook or social media sites by allowing your customers to share their ideas with other people in their social network. So these are the ways you use accessories to create more loyalty and better engagement tools with the local demo customers, and as we all are local. So we need to make sure that we create a better system to keep customers engaged. So this actually is just an example of what you can do with accessories in your dealerships. And you take accessories to a whole different level. The important thing is crawl first before you run. Crawl, walk, and run. So today's webinar's main topic was to make sure that we give you, first of all, the ingredients to set up the right business and give you some examples of programs that can be utilized to accomplish all of that. At this point, I would like to open up questions and give our presentation to Barbara and look for the audience for any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much. That was really a great presentation. As someone who with a car, having a visual presentation like this that would allow me to see how my car would look with all these different accessories added is so useful. And not even to mention the report feature, the dashboard that you explained on part of the dealership. I mean, you know, they can break so many different ways. So this was really exciting to me. Thanks so much for showing us all this. All right, the opportunity now for you to ask Sydney some questions. Please type your question in the Q&A panel. So at the bottom right-hand side of your screen, we'll address as many as we can in the time we have left. And I'm going to ask the first one to get us started. Thinking that this can be done in 8 minutes per copy. What is the very first sentence that should come to the salesperson's mouth to lead the customer down this path? Is the most important sentence that will, quote unquote, seal the deal?
Good questions, actually. So the first thing that I would actually, what we promote and we train is actually learned from some of the best dealerships that are out there. I will basically tell you that I learned this line from a salesperson in Boston who is consistently selling out somewhere in the neighborhood of about $13 to $15 a month in accessories to his customers that he's selling cars to. His dedicated rep is just to his customers. So I went there and I asked that general manager to have the salesperson give me a presentation, and I'm going to use his lines. They are the best lines to introduce accessories. So he basically says, "Congratulations, Barbara, for the purchase of this car. It's a beautiful vehicle. While waiting to go into the contract office, we have about 5-10 minutes where I would like to share some information about your vehicle with you. And now what I will do is I will show you some products. There's absolutely no obligation for you to buy anything. Although if you like something, let me know, because more than likely if you bought something today, it will possibly come with the factory warranty of the vehicle. And of course, in certain states, there are other tax advantages as well that can be talked about as well. But that line is so good that basically disarms the customer. It does the right job of what we call soft selling accessories. And what it does is points, clicks, and asks the customer the opinion. And 70% of his customers buy something from him because they don't feel like they're being sold. And with the 10 minutes that he spends with those customers, or 8 minutes, they are basically, before they go into finance, they are staying in a positive attitude instead of sitting there and looking at walls or staring at walls. It keeps them positively busy. It makes the CI better because the customer feels that my salesperson cared about me more because they talked about the vehicle after I shook hands with them instead of leaving me there in the office for 20 minutes to go into finance. And it basically is a win-win-win for all three parties involved. To seal the deal, I'll basically talk about some lines that I learned from a dealership in Seattle. As a salesperson basically used this program and said that at the end of every presentation, I have listed out the items that the customer really didn't say no to when I'm presenting. And I open up shopping cart and I show them and I say, well, when I'm presenting you the product, what I thought the most interesting for you was this. And what he just picks one accessory and he points it out. And the interesting thing is, if the answer is yes, it helps them. If the answer is no, it helps them both ways, because the customer will say, yes, that's what I was most interested in, and then he just says, well, what about the other items? Let's keep this. What about this? What about this? If the customer says, no, that's not the most important thing for me, it was actually this, then he finds out what that was, and then he says, okay, this is what was more important. What about this? How about this? And he just closes it. So it's a very simple way. If you're using the right program, using the right way to present, you can actually easily close or seal the deal with the customer. But the idea is, the most important thing is how you open. If you open in a soft way, the customer will end up buying something from you through that presentation.
Great. We have a question from Jim who wants to know, will a customer need a username and password when customizing at home online?
Not, but if they save the vehicle, then they are provided again, which actually at the time of saving it, in the form, they create their own username and password, and they get an email from on behalf of the dealership from the system, and that username and password can be used by them to log in the next time if they want to go back to the saved vehicle.
Good. I think that'll be all the questions we have, Sydney. Great presentation, a lot of really good information. Thanks so much for doing this for us. I'm pleased to announce that we'll be holding another week-long Advanced Service Management Seminar this summer. Bob Wood from the NADA Academy will be the instructor, and it'll be held at NADA headquarters here in McLean, Virginia. The dates are August 13th to 17th. We're holding a week-long Advanced Parts Management Seminar. That will be October 15th to 19th, also at NADA. And Chris Davis from the NADA Academy will be the instructor. For information on both these seminars, please go to www.nadauniversity.com. That's next Wednesday for another Free Market Insight webinar. The topic is going to be today's technology landscape with Howard Paulier from Autotrader.com. Remember to complete the brief survey that's going to pop on your screen when you log out. That'll help us better serve you. And make sure to write down the URL on this last slide up on your screen now for a demo of the AOA Accessory Sales Configurator. NADA University, and today's sponsor is Cars. Thank you so much for participating. We hope you learned a lot and enjoyed the webinar. Goodbye.